Hey everyone, Shabby here, and welcome back to some more of the SWE World Cup. This is our second Group A match between New Zealand and Scotland. A very interesting match here because of the result we got yesterday, I think, in our USA versus Europe match. USA get a strong victory there. This is a great chance for one of these two teams to step up. And here is our opening match. Then a bit of an interesting one, this one. Bad Luck Fale representing New Zealand, which I'm sure is going to come up in the comment section down below, taking on Noam representing Scotland. So yeah, like I was saying, due to the results we had in the US versus Europe match, this one could be a very interesting match for these two sides. Europe were really hammered. Lost 5-0. Which means they've got absolutely no points whatsoever. So both these teams, both Scotland and New Zealand, know a strong victory here could really put them in the forefront to try and get that second place in the group. I think both teams will find it very, very difficult to beat the US. However, like I said, if they can get enough points in this one and potentially in the match against Europe as well, one of these two teams could make it through. Of course, this is New Zealand, the third tier team in the group, and Scotland, who are the fourth seed team in the group as well. So it should be very, very interesting to see how the table looks after this first set of matches. I'm really looking... I love doing stuff like this. Tournaments are one of my favourite things to do on this game. We've done all sorts in the past of knockout tournaments, but I like this. I like group stage and point systems, and I'm a real nerd when it comes to it. I really am. Nerd. But this should be interesting then. Big guy, Bad Luck Fale, versus the smaller Noam Dar. Noam Dar is going to have to really go to his submission roots, I think. Going to have to try and take out the legs and take out the knee of Bad Luck Fale. We know he likes to utilise the knee bar, so he's just got to stick to his tactics, hasn't he, really? Just got to try and not get outpowered too much. Because if you get outpowered too much, then he's going to be in some serious, serious trouble. But this is a big one for Noam Dar. But then again, you never know, do you, really? We said the same sort of thing about Jordan Devlin being part of the Ireland team. It's going to be a real big one for him as well. He's sort of the weaker side. Not necessarily the weaker, but the on paper maybe they're not as experienced on paper than his other two teammates. That's the same with Noam Dar, I think. He's still very, very young. He's got two very experienced teammates in Jester and Drew McIntyre. So it'd be interesting to see if he can pull this off. As the bell goes, we are underway. Bad Luck Fale flattens Noam Dar from the offset. Fale now brings Noam Dar back up to his feet, and so far, Bad Luck Fale is just destroying Noam Dar. This could be a quick and easy point here for New Zealand. There's the pin. 1, 2. Wow. Wow. Yep, it was a lucky... It was a quick and easy point for New Zealand, and they go 1-0 up on the night. Bad Luck Fale hammering Noam Dar so badly that Noam Dar didn't even get... Well, they didn't even get any highlights, did they, the entire match? Noam Dar got no offense. And there we go then. Bad Luck Fale victorious. But now Bad Luck Fale looking back at the grounded Noam Dar, thinking maybe about the 6-man tag match later on this evening. Bad Luck Fale, oh, steel chair. Wow. Noam Dar has taken some serious damage in this first match of the evening. Is he going to survive the 6-man tag? And here's our second match of the evening as Travis Banks for New Zealand takes on Jester. What happened there? Ooh, I sucked in a bit too much air there. Yeah, Travis Banks takes on Jester for Scotland in this one, and already it's been a great start for New Zealand. They go ahead of Europe now. I think Europe's got a very good chance of ending this night bottom of the group. Just 1 point for Scotland will do it. Although, if New Zealand were to get a whitewash on Scotland, that would really make things difficult for Europe. At the moment, all Europe can hope for is a pretty even match here. Maybe a 3-2, and then Europe to have good runs against both these teams. That would still get them through. But after that hammering by the US, Europe are struggling. But then again, I feel like all these teams might get a hammering from the US, to be honest. That team of Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, I mean, there's not a lot of teams in this entire competition that can go anywhere near that. There really isn't. So maybe Europe will fare a lot better when they get the games against New Zealand and Scotland. Europe's next match is against Scotland. Okay, so that should be better for Europe. If they can get the points in that one, they'll be back in the battle. But it's all down to how this goes, I suppose. Travis Banks, say, representing New Zealand, already 1-0 up here this evening. If they can get another point here, then all of a sudden New Zealand could be looking pretty good. And, of course, don't forget, because we've got this match here, Travis Banks versus Jack Jester, it does mean that we will have Jay White versus Drew McIntyre as our third match. And then, of course, the 6-man tag for those final 2 points of the evening. But what state is... Yeah, what state is... What's his name? Noam Dar, that's what I'm looking for. What state is Noam Dar going to be in? He got absolutely brutalised by that steel chair. I should imagine he's definitely going to want to be involved in that match, but will he be able to? That's the question. That's going to be the tricky one, because he did get... Well, the match was pretty short, but he got hit by some pretty big moves. But I can't believe Bad Luck Fale just squashed him like that, to be honest. Bad Luck Fale destroyed him. Absolutely crazy. And now Jack Jester needs to get this one back going. He needs to get Scotland back in this. Remember, just 1 point for Scotland would put the Europe bottom of Group A after the first set of matches. Still quite a bit of wrestling to go, of course, but it's going to be much more difficult for them if there's a massive gap to try and bridge. Say finishing third gets you nothing in a group. Finishing first gets you a good stead, a good match against a team that finishes a runner-up in another group. And getting second gives you a group winner. So essentially the winner of Group A will play second place in Group B, which at the moment Group B looks like it's going to be England and Japan. Although you never know with India and Australia. There's I just feel like England and Japan will be the stronger teams in that one, to be honest, just on paper, but you never know, do you? So it'll be England or Japan versus US or whoever finishes second in this group. So I don't know, I feel like, well, Japan is the first seed team, so you'd imagine Japan will finish top, but again, we just have no idea. But then again, whoever finishes second in this group is not going to want to face off against Japan. That team of Nakamura, Tanahashi and Okada is just brutal. And everyone's going to want to avoid that, but it might not be as easy to do than that. Easier said than done. As Travis Banks in control of this match now. Jawbreaker by Jack Jester. Clubbing blow to the back there by Travis Banks now. Taking him up into a suplex. And it is Banks in control here. As Banks now just raining down the punches right to the face. And Banks is in control now. Oh, but he gets caught with that diving forearm. Jack Jester into the pin. Will it be enough? One. Oh, I need it for a one. Can Jack Jester finish Travis Banks off? He'd be massive for Scotland if he can. Can Jack Jester do it? Or can Travis Banks come from behind at this point in time and get the second point here for New Zealand, which would put them in a very strong position here this evening and a pretty strong position in the group as well. There's the two. Could be it, you know. That could be it. Jack Jester in with the pin. 1, 2, and 3. And there's the point that equalises the night and does confirm that Europe will be bottom of the group at the end of this episode. It's currently 1-1 now. Big point in that for Jack Jester and for Scotland. Very big point. Nice diving shoulder block there. But eventually it was the tombstone power driver that was enough to finish off Travis Banks. There was the spear as well. And there was the tombstone pile driver by Jack Jester on Travis Banks, middle of the ring. And that was enough to drop into the pin for the free count and make it 1-1 on the evening. So Bad Luck Fale demolished Noam, but Jack Jester's pulled it back. So now at this point in the group, it's USA on 5, Scotland on 1, New Zealand on 1, and Europe on 0. What will the rest of this night hold? Will one of these two teams pull away and get the extra points needed to maybe pull away completely from Europe and damn them after one match? And here is our next match of the evening. It is going to be Jay White taking on Drew McIntyre. Important one, this one. The score certainly, currently, that's the word I'm looking for, sits at 1 point each, which means that Europe are bottom of the group. This one's a big one, but of course it does mean now that the six-man tag is going to decide who wins this, because this could be one either way, which would make it 2-1, but of course remember there's 2 points available in the six-man tag, which would either make it 4-1 or 3-2. So the six-man tag is where it's all at, but of course ideally you want to win both of these. That'd be the main objective for both these teams. But it's going to be tricky. Very, very tricky. And I think the six-man tag currently, I'm going to say, sits in the favour of New Zealand. Mainly because of the damage done by Bad Luck Fale to Noam and the sheer one-sidedness before the damage makes me feel like this could end up being more of a 3-on-2 match. I'll have to have a look at. I don't understand why Noam was beaten so badly, because there was only literally a few stats difference between the two of them. They weren't massive stat variants, so I'm a bit confused how that happened, to be honest, but there you go. There you go. As now then we await the entrance of Jay White's opponent. Of course, that is going to be the one, the only Drew McIntyre. That was terrible. That wasn't Scottish, was it? Drew McIntyre. No, I can't do it. I'm normally quite good at a Scottish accent, but it's just not coming through today. Aberdeen. No, it's not working. Normally I can get myself into it by saying the word Aberdeen, but Aberdeen. I'm stuck. No, I can't do it. I don't know what's happened. I'm normally really good at the Scottish accent. I just can't seem to get in the zone today. Ah well. It's probably for the best. We don't become over racist anyway. Think about deep fried items and so forth. So Drew, of course, is now on the main roster again. A little bit out of nowhere. I'm not sure what I feel about this whole situation with Dolph Ziggler. I mean, it's a good way of getting him back on the main roster, and I feel like it's going to end with some sort of Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus American Alpha style feud. Jason Jordan's going to make his return at some point, and they're going to try and get him over as a face to rejoin it with Chad Gable, I suppose. But I just don't understand if it's... I can't tell if it's going to work or not. I hope it will. Because although I'm not Drew's biggest fan in the world, I still want to see him do well. He's a British guy, and me being a British guy myself, it's nice to see these sort of guys get over, but I'm not all down to that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I will be supporting England in this World Cup, the wrestling one that is, and the football one. I'll support England, but I'm not really that bothered about international football. I'm a massive fan of club football, but international football does my head in, to be honest. But I'm just happy to see just some good wrestling in, to be honest. And when you look at some of the potential matches we could have towards the end of this competition, it's going to be crazy. You look at the top teams in these groups. We've got, of course, US. We've already seen it very, very strong. We've got Japan and England coming up for you in a few days' time. That'd be a big match. What else have we got? We've got Samoa and Mexico is going to be good. Germany's a pretty strong-looking team. Canada and Ireland are pretty strong-looking as well. So when we start to get to the knockout stages and some of these teams come up against each other, that's going to be crazy just how strong those matches are. Jay White then with the arm breaker on Drew McIntyre. McIntyre fighting back with an elbow of his own, but Jay White's... Whoa, look at that stiff right hand. McIntyre flopped. Absolutely flopped. McIntyre now bringing White back up to his feet. White catching there with a jawbreaker. McIntyre slides free into that reverse DDT. Now dropping a boot right in the face of Jay White. Now taking the arm as well. So this is an important match, this one. It's all about just trying to get as many points as possible. Because this is going to be the big one for both these teams. This is going to be their main chance of getting points against each other. I feel like both these teams are going to probably struggle against the US. And they're both going to struggle against Europe as well. But Europe, as we've seen, are maybe not as strong as we first thought they were. Being hammered by the US, I mean, losing 5-0 was pretty insane. So it'd be interesting to see which one of these two teams can take the most advantage. And maybe try to pull away points-wise from Europe as well as much as you possibly can to try and stay ahead of them. After that result a few days ago against the US, Europe's position where we thought US and Europe would get through to the next round, being the top two tiers, top two seeds in the group. It just seemed logical they would make it through, but it's all up for grabs now after that big loss. But like I said, if all three teams in the group end up losing 5-0 to the US, which is very possible, then that means that that place is still up for grabs. It means the matches between these three, Scotland, New Zealand and Europe, are going to be the ones that really determine what goes on. McIntyre now bringing Jay White up to a kneeling base before hoisting him up into a jackknife powerbomb middle of the ring. Now going to roll him over into a Boston Crab, but too close to the ropes. Jay White able to break it. Big knee in the gut there by McIntyre, now scooping up Jay White. Jay slides free into a flatliner. McIntyre drove face first into the mat. And Jay White now just stamping on the hand of McIntyre. The pain ringing through his body, you can see it. Nice jawbreaker by McIntyre on Jay White, and a headbutt as well. Wow. Knocked him down. Nice gut wrench there by McIntyre, just launching Jay White around. Now McIntyre in the corner, maybe lining up for a Claymore. Boom, hits the Claymore into the pin. Is this going to be enough? 1, 2. It is, and Drew McIntyre gets the point for Scotland, making it 2-1. It's all down to the 6-man tag now, but that's a massive win there for McIntyre. Wow, what a win that is for McIntyre. He needed that. That's huge. That is a really, really big win, that is, for Drew McIntyre. He needed that, I think. And I think Scotland needed that as well. After the how they've suffered earlier on this evening with the brutal assault on Noam Dar. However, we are hearing that Noam Dar is going to be fit and able to go in the six-man tag. How fit he's going to be is a different question, but he is going to be allowed to wrestle. He wants to wrestle, so he will be there in that all-important six-man tag. He knows how important this is. This could be their big chance. If Scotland win that six-man tag, they could almost certainly give themselves a great shot of getting through to the next round. And here we go then, the all-important six-man tag. Travis Banks, Jay White and Bad Luck Fale versus Jack Jester, Noam Dar and Drew McIntyre. Noam Dar will be hyped for this one now. Hey, it's working! Of course, we have had some problems yesterday with six-man tag entrances. And it is going to be an issue we will see a few times here and there, but hopefully we're past the best of it. No, we're past the worst of it now. It was something to do because I've recorded a few of these episodes out of order. That's been the problem. Because I didn't get enough cores downloaded before I moved. I only downloaded the cores for the first two teams of each group. So I've already done the first match of Group B, the first match of Group C, and the first match of Group D. So I know the results from those already. And all of those matches have got no entrance on the six-man tag, as we saw yesterday. For some reason, not being connected to an internet network, which I am now, but not being connected to an internet network, for some reason caused problems. It caused chaos. It stopped my parental guidance from allowing me to do certain things in the game, which I thought was just stupid, really. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But here we go then, Team New Zealand looking ready for business. Bad Luck Fale pretty impressed himself, absolutely demolished Noam Dar earlier on and then proceeded to attack him straight afterwards as well. But both Jay White and Travis Banks both losing to Drew McIntyre and Jack Jester respectively. And they'll be desperate to get that point here. They know a victory here in the six-man tag will be enough to win them the episode. They'll win it 3-2, which is still good. Maybe not quite as good as they would have wanted. They would have wanted a bit of a better score. But here comes Team Scotland. As Drew McIntyre leads his men. It's much better with the entrances, isn't it? I don't know what's wrong with this bloody game. It just bugs out so much so often. When this game's not connected to the internet, it's even worse. But there we go. Yeah, this is a big one, this one. Of course, we know that US will top the group at the end of this episode no matter what. They're on 5 points. We know that Europe's going to bottom the group no matter what on 0 points. And it's all just down to these two teams to see who gets that second place and who gets the third place at this point in time. Let's say Scotland really want these 2 points because that'll put them 4 points ahead of Europe. In what is going to be a very interesting match, that one, Europe versus both these teams now, because they are fighting for that position. They're fighting for that one extra spot, and yeah, that was a shocking result the other day, I must admit. I expected a strong result, but and like I said, in theory, if all three of these teams lose 5-0 to US, then it won't make a lot of difference, to be honest. It's just all down to the results between the two of them. As Noam now trying to take out Jay White. Maybe Noam versus Bad Luck Fale wasn't the best two opponents to put next to each other. We've done most of this by random. I must admit, I've not necessarily picked the matches. I've just randomly put them out. And that's just the way the cookie crumbled. I've tried to organise the teams in... I've tried not to make any squash matches. I've tried to organise the teams in like strength order. So the strongest two people will be in the match towards the 6-man tag, and the weaker two will start the show. It doesn't always work out that way. There's the odd occasion where I've like decided just for match quality to put certain ones versus certain ones. For example, we will see in this competition, we will see Daniel Bryan versus Noam, which I think will be a very interesting match. Both guys pretty good submission specialists. Bad Luck Fale is looking pretty strong though, isn't he? And you see Noam lining up Bad Luck Fale, wanting some retribution, and I think he caught him there a little bit low with that kick and then went for the drop kick to the leg, but Bad Luck Fale is still not going down. But it gave Jack Jester enough opportunity to turn it around and drop in Bad Luck Fale. And Team Scotland now in control until Jay White slides back in the ring. Nice Northern Light suplex there by Jay White. As a boot right in the gusset area there by Drew McIntyre. But in comes Bad Luck Fale. Jack Jester hasn't seen him and gets German suplexed off the middle rope. Wow. Bad Luck Fale for me in this match has been the... this whole evening has been the one talisman for New Zealand. Now, we will get into this conversation, right? Bad Luck Fale in New Zealand. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking he's not from New Zealand, but he wasn't born in New Zealand, you're correct. However, he did grow up and spent a lot of time in his youth in New Zealand. He went to university in New Zealand and was part of a New Zealand rugby team. And, of course, this competition is not necessarily about where you're born. It's all about where you're representing. We've done that before. Hence why we will see Jinder Mahal in the Indian team, even though Jinder Mahal's from Canada. And so forth like that. It's all about the team you're representing and heritage and that sort of stuff, I suppose. And Bad Luck Fale, he just... And the thing is as well, if there's anyone out there who's going to moan about Bad Luck Fale being in New Zealand, if it wasn't for Bad Luck Fale, we would have had to have picked either one of the two Bushwhackers, which is not a situation I think any of us want to see in a World Cup showcasing the best wrestling ability in the world, is it really? So I feel like Bad Luck Fale is a... it was a nice way of getting him smushed in. I love the fact we got New Zealand, though. The thing is, once we had Jay White, who's just hit that big manoeuvre there, and that is enough. Team New Zealand, Jay White hitting that sling... That's not sling blade, what's it called? Switchblade? Switchblade on Jack Jester behind the back. No, it was on Drew McIntyre, so behind the back of Jack Jester, and able to steal the victory, which means New Zealand do get the victory here this evening, 3 points to 2. Wow. But it was close. It was very, very close. So yeah, I think Bad Luck Fale, the thing is, I could not ignore a team that had both Travis Banks and Jay White. I could not ignore those two, so I had to get a third New Zealander. And that's how we ended up with Bad Luck Fale, who was born in Tonga. But there are quite a large portion of people that are born in Tonga that do move to New Zealand, because Tonga, obviously being a small island, doesn't have some of the necessities that New Zealand has, such as the universities and so forth like that, which is why Bad Luck Fale, a lot of the people from Tonga do move across to New Zealand. Now, I may have got some of those facts wrong, but that's what Wikipedia says, that's what I'm going with. Anyway, it's a great win here then for New Zealand. They now are on 3 points, which means the league table, which I will hopefully throw up on the screen any second now. Come on. Come on, future me. Get ready. There we go. Right, future me, there we go. So USA, as you can see, they're on 5 points. New Zealand in second place on 3 points. Scotland in third place on 2 points, so very close there still. And Europe in fourth place with 0. Now, of course, our next round of matches, we will see the US take on New Zealand in what is a big match now, and then Europe take on Scotland. So that Europe versus Scotland match is huge as well. Should Europe have another bad performance, they will be effectively be out of the competition. Should Scotland have a bad performance, and if Europe were to get the 5-0 victory there, all of a sudden Europe would be back in this one. It all depends on what happens between the US and New Zealand as well. Will the US get another clean sweep? On paper, they probably have one of the best teams in the entire competition, so it's very, very possible that the US could dominate all 3 of these teams in the group. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we've got the rest of the groups to go through first before we get to the end of the second round of matches for Group A. We've got Group B coming up for you next, which is going to be England versus Japan in our next episode, then India versus Australia in the episode after that. Then, of course, we've got Group C, which is Samoa versus Mexico and Germany versus Puerto Rico. And then Group D, Canada versus Ireland and Tonga versus South Africa. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, please do slap a like and, of course, hit subscribe if you want to see some more. I've been Shabba Gamer. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon for our next match in the World Cup. Bye.
The one, two,